Welcome to Your In Depth, where we walk through and break down our favorite fictional universes. Today we continue into Season 2 of Rings of Power with Episode 2. I am Jacob, as usual, and I'm joined here by Evan.
What up, homie?
Yeah, one of these days I might bring back the whole making up names for you. You remember when I did that?
Yeah.
I've had that thought. That was fun. Just another way to make fun of you. But anyway, as I said, we're covering episode 2 of season 2 of Rings of Power. And so the way that we normally do this, if you're new, is we'll do a summary, and then we'll have an ad. It's a fake one. And then we'll get into our discussion. So to start with, we have a summary. Now, I'm trying something different. I tried it. Actually, this one is going to come out after, I don't know, it doesn't matter. We tried it in another episode that we've already recorded, so I don't know. Let me know what you think of it. But let's get into our summary. We open with dwarves growing enough food for a small nation inside of a cave. They use sunlight reflected through tiny holes, so basically they invented underground agriculture using the power of cope and geometry. Durin the Fourth and Disa are now broke-ish because Durin got disowned. So they're doing some grocery shopping. They're also arguing like a couple who just discovered budgeting for the first time. Then Mount Doom's aftershocks hit and Disa's magic senses kick in when rocks start falling all on her head. She starts yelling at everyone to get down like she's the only person who understands the advanced concept of ceiling collapse equals bad. The sun shafts clog up, the crops are screwed, and Disa tries singing to the mountain to fix it, to which the mountain responds basically with the dwarven equivalent of skill issue. Also, Durin gets bullied by some miners because apparently Middle-earth runs on racism, classism, and workplace harassment, but hey, at least they have unions. Wait. Nope, never mind. Those are axes. Galadriel is having ring visions and nightmares, which is basically her brain trying to send a push notification like, hey, Sauron, still evil, please update your decisions. The elves hold a war meeting, and Galadriel mentally checks out until someone says Sauron, to which she then perks up like a divorced wine mom hearing her ex got arrested. Galadriel warns Gil-galad that Sauron is going to enslave everyone using rings, and Gil-galad is like, No, I don't think so. Our defenses are really thick. Brother, your plan is literally we have walls. That's not a strategy. That's a Home Depot receipt. But anyway, he basically tells her she can't go alone because she's compromised, which also is Elvish HR speak for, you're right, but you're also cringe. At Eregion, Celebrimbor's assistant tries to keep quote-unquote Halbrand out, but he's out there looking all sad and damp like a Victorian orphan with abs. He flirts a little, drops the I'm just a misunderstood victim of the elite routine, and Celebrimbor, being the kind of guy who would invest in crypto run by a demon, eventually caves. Sauron rebrands himself as Anatar, or angelic helper sent by the gods, and Celebrimbor instantly goes, an angelic consultant? I have zero questions about that. Come on in. And just like that, Celebrimbor signs up for the Ring MLM, where the only product is mass suffering and the referral bonus is the apocalypse. Meanwhile, not Gandalf is in the desert with Nori and Poppy, who are dragging him around like two children walking their grandpa until he collapses. We then cut to the masked riders, who are reporting to the Dark Wizard, who looks like Saruman, if Saruman was a cult leader running a desert timeshare scam. This guy summons the spooky witch lady that I hated from the previous season, using blood and moths, because the show is allergic to subtlety. The trackers chase Not Gandalf, Nori, and Poppy down, and Not Gandalf does tornado magic, loses control, breaks his staff, and the Harfoots get launched into the sky like they just discovered a Bethesda ragdoll exploit. And at the end of the episode, everyone is converging on Eregion. Galadriel and Elrond head out, Durin gets invited too, Celebrimbor is already there, and he's just let Sauron become his partner. So this episode is primarily a setup episode, but it's the type where you can feel the incoming train wreck, and all the characters are on the tracks taking selfies.
I loved all of the not Gandalf.
Yeah.
Not Gandalf this, not Gandalf.
Well, because it hasn't, yeah, you know why. Well, anyway, and then now we have an ad. This episode is brought to you by a new to Middle-earth dating scene. The Lord of Gifts also wants to gift you with a go-to mingling place. So first, a little about it. This is an alcoholic establishment intended only for the ladies. And you do have to be above 70 years old, which if you're an elf, let's classify this by if you have a kid, that kid has to have a kid. Oh, also you need to dress up like these tall blue creatures, as somehow the James Cameron series has made its way into Middle-earth. Anyway though, it's officially Anatar's Avatar Grandma Bar. So check it out.
Try saying that 5 times fast.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Anywho.
I find all of that so much more funny having literally rewatched the episode right before we started recording.
Yeah.
Because for the last episode for Rings of Power, I've seen the episode multiple times, but I didn't watch it right before we recorded. But yeah, just rewatching it right before we recorded and then seeing you take all of those scenes and describe them in that way.
Mm-hmm. So to the listener too, this is another thing alongside the ad that I don't show to Evan before we record. So
Yep.
These are things that he's hearing for the first time. If you're wondering,
so all my
why.
giggling and laughing is just first time genuine reaction to what he's come up with.
Yeah.
Getting into the episode,
right?
I know we talked about starting with Khazad-dûm.
Yeah, I'm really fine with wherever. I have them sectioned so I can scroll.
Well, I want to start when getting into the specific groups that we're following. I want to start with Khazad-dûm, but I do want to kick things off with the opening scenes of the episode.
Okay.
Where we see the fire or the lava of Mount Doom still erupting, and it pans out to the map view of Middle-earth, and it shows all of the like black tendrils emanating out from Mount Doom. And I really like the way that they did that to just show the corruption spreading from this singular event that has just occurred at the end of the last season. And I just thought it was a really cool shot to just show the poisoning of the world, but all of these different groups have no idea just how severe this is in the moment. I thought it was just really cool, a really cool way of telegraphing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. But anyway, cool story. Anyway,
anyways,
so starting with Khazad-dûm, I thought it was really cool to see the farms. I never really thought about it. Obviously, they need food, and I'd kind of wondered. I remember thinking it once before, being like, "How do they get all their food?" But seeing it to where there's these like tiered farms and stuff, and then how the sunlight breaks in and bounces around, which I remember seeing these little like orb things in Return to Moria video game. Do you remember seeing those? The sun, like the things that reflect the sun. And so it was just cool seeing that setup, because then it's like, it's really cool to see the intricacy of the underground city, because what we've seen of it before is, not lively. And so, I thought it was really cool to see that.
I'd be really curious to go back and watch Fellowship of the Ring and go to where they're traveling through Moria and try and pick out the specifics, if there's any specifics that they pulled from that and put into Rings of Power, but gave it life.
Just now, I had the thought, I remember there being a zoom in of a bridge. And I thought it was the bridge, because I was like, oh, that one's not broken. I thought it was the one that the rock smashed into in this upcoming section. But the more I think about it, maybe I'm misremembering it, but it borderline reminds me of where Gandalf fought the Balrog, and I wonder if they were to have taken those two places and just shown them. You know,
You're talking when the
when they
rocks
fall.
start collapsing in this episode, it breaks through that bridge.
Well, so that's what I thought it was, but there was a scene after all that. I think it's when they're singing. It zooms in. It was around then where I was looking, thinking, "Oh, that might be the same bridge that the rock smashed into," but it wasn't. But then I'm
Right.
thinking, I wonder if it's the other one. I don't know. It probably isn't, but
I would say it's not, just because.
you want to be mean and crush my spirit.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Anyways, moving on. No. No, I would say it's not, just because of the location of the Bridge of Khazad-dûm, which is the one where Gandalf fights the Balrog in Fellowship. Because that bridge leads to the the eastern gate of Moria. Like, the Fellowship gets across the bridge, goes up some steps, and they're outside. And I don't think the dwarves of Khazad-dûm would set up their capital right next to that bridge, but I could be wrong.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. Spirits
Well,
crushed.
and I would guess no, but without looking into it more, I couldn't say for certain.
I see. Speaking of that rock falling, though, I thought it was. It's always funny to see people get smashed. I liked it a lot when Arondir, I think was his name, had pulled the log out of the watchtower.
Yeah.
And we just saw them just get smushed and one skewered. I always think that's fun to see. So seeing some dwarves, unfortunately it was dwarves, but seeing them just get smushed by a rock was pretty entertaining.
Yeah. I specifically looked for this while I watched the episode tonight. There's the part where the one comes down and breaks through the bridge. But then if you look off to the right, another rock comes down and like smashes like 3 or 4 dwarves fall further along the bridge. It's kind of like off to the side. And I specifically looked for that to see, because I was curious how much they were going to put in of like the I don't want to call it a cave-in because it's not like a full-blown, but just how much like debris they would show falling. So I am kind of glad that they did more than just one chunk.
Yeah.
But to the light, though, with that, as the rocks are falling in, when we see the different light shafts collapsing, going back to Fellowship of the Ring, my mind goes to the Tomb of Balin, where it has that beam of light coming down to illuminate his coffin that his body is in. And even though his tomb is in a state of decay, right? It's been a while. Nobody's been there to clean up. I wonder if that light shaft is something that Balin's company put in when they returned to Moria before the events of Fellowship, or if that was like set up all the way back here in like Rings of Power era.
And then they just chose to bury him in that spot.
Yeah. I wonder which one it is. Because like when Gandalf reads that book, right before the goblins show up with the cave troll, it talks about how the dwarves were pushed back to this chamber. And so it's like the dwarves didn't just like decide, hey, whenever Leader Man dies, we're putting him here. I imagine it was more of like we are backed against the wall, our leader is dead, we're going to do this one last decent thing before we all die and give him a proper burial. And so I wonder if it was just coincidence that they happened to find this one unoccupied tomb, or this one unoccupied coffin and just kind of like threw him in there. Or if they like had enough time to kind of set up this shaft of light to come in and illuminate his grave. I'd be curious to know which one it is.
Yeah. I have something to show you real quick. Because I think it's funny how my cat is sitting. So I'm going to do it in a fancy way. Look
Just
at
a
him.
little meow meow.
Yeah, just a little meow meow. He's all sprawled out for the listener. He's like in kind of like a curled ball, but his two front legs or paws are just like sprawled out straight in front of him.
This one's not happy. Ow.
She doesn't look like it.
Ow.
But anyway,
I woke her up
to share that.
But,
anywho,
back to Khazad-dûm.
yeah,
I really like how they're keeping with the theme of Durin the Third and Durin the Fourth, King Durin and Prince Durin, of the hard-headedness of dwarves.
yeah,
Because as you mentioned in the recap, Prince Durin's not Prince Durin right now. He's been kind of cast out from the family and left on the side of the road.
yeah. And
But
I
neither one of them want to be the first one to try and mend this
right
issue that they're having with each other.
Yeah, because Disa was talking to King Durin the Third.
Pretty sure it's third, yeah.
If
Sounds
that makes
right.
sense. Well, anyway, she was talking to him, and basically he's just like, he's on the same page where he's like, he wants that relationship back with his son. And he's just like, yeah, essentially, well, I'm not going to call for him to come in here. He needs to come to me. And it's just like, no, you guys, somebody needs to make the first move. Like,
well, I just think it's so funny, too, because the apple does not fall far from the tree between these two.
They're both so stubborn.
Yeah. They're both so stubborn and just refusing to give ground even. And like King Durin even says, he's like, I said that out of anger.
Right.
Like, he knows he's wrong. But he will not be the first one to budge.
I don't think that he necessarily thinks he's wrong, but he knows that he overreacted.
Right. Yeah. I guess
I think he still stays I think he still has that viewpoint of like, no, he's in the wrong. However, I was kind of a butt.
Yeah. No, you saying that definitely, yeah. It's neither of them are going to admit that they're wrong.
Right.
Unless it's like bluntly obvious that one of them's wrong and they can't refute it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, neither one of them is willing to take the first step to mend this relationship.
Right. One thing I did find interesting, and another just talking about the aesthetic of the entire underground thing, was how the earthquake, the aftershocks, blew out their light source. Like, it's dark now because there was an earthquake.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That is just, and it got like really dark.
Yeah.
But
not
so that was
quite
kind of an interesting
to like
thing.
Fellowship of the Ring Moria dark, right? Because they could like put lanterns up and stuff. But yeah, it's like what's the word? It's like foreshadowing what is to become this dwarven kingdom.
Yeah. But
And
obviously with
ChatGPT
that,
here even gave
oh,
kind of a little one-liner here that fits that really well. This episode is where Khazad-dûm stops being a wonder, stops being this fantastical kingdom of craftsmanship and whatnot, and it turns into a ticking clock. Like, this episode really kind of sets up the beginning of the end for Khazad-dûm.
yeah,
I just think there's a lot of foreshadowing that happens here.
yeah, true. That's I don't like giving ChatGPT too much credit. Kind of have a weird like back and forth because like
Of all
I
the crap
recognize
it messes up.
well, all the crap it messes up, and overall, just out of principle, like my ideas against AI and stuff in creative work, but then also like recognizing it is a good tool and
Right.
trying to balance all of that. Aside from that, darn it, that was pretty well put.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was really good when I just read over everything, made sure there wasn't like any big error in there. I was like, man.
Yeah, it wasn't like saying Durin the Fourth goes grocery shopping with his mother Disa.
Yeah. But no, I was just like, that is a spot on line right there. Yeah.
But without
you had mentioned the
sun-
earthquake.
Yeah,
You had mentioned the earthquake and how it just kind of like ruined their infrastructure essentially. Like they can't grow food now.
right.
I have to imagine that with the whole, what do they call them, like stone singers, like what Disa does, right?
Yeah. I think
They're
that's what they
like
call 'em.
pretty confident with their mining, because they have these stone singers that tell them, hey, this is a suitable place to mine. Don't mine here. This is foundation. We need this. And King Durin in this episode even says, for 9 centuries, the stone singers have not led us astray. Like they have not, or they have, for 9 centuries, they have never failed in their duties. And so I have to imagine they've had earthquakes in Khazad-dûm before. Like they're in the middle of a mountain and they're kind of hollowing it out. But they could not have had something quite this detrimental to their society.
No.
Because like they have no idea in this episode of how to fix it. They resort right back to the stone singers, and the stone singers can't find an answer.
Right.
They can't find the right places to dig to get the light back. So I imagine this has to be like essentially like Hurricane Katrina size event for Khazad-dûm, like just how devastating this is for them.
Yeah, for sure. The last thing within this category that I have is actually at the end of the episode. So if you have anything before that about Khazad-dûm, go for it.
Nothing for this episode. There's a few thoughts that come in mind for like the next episode or two, but I'll save those for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my last comment is just the whole. It kind of threw me off because I didn't anticipate it, but it was like, oh, okay. It also is partially influenced by the fact that I just watched Emperor's New Groove again, which freaking love that movie. But the end of the episode, he's like, it's an invitation from Celebrimbor. I just thought of Kronk. Yeah, it's coming together or whatever. You know that? Now it's all coming together.
Yeah. Well, that scene too, though, the invitation from Celebrimbor.
Mm-hmm.
That, and like you said in the episode summary, this is a setup episode. This is setting up the dwarves for the Dwarven Rings. Going to a Region. Because when we get to Celebrimbor and Sauron and Anatar, whatever you want to call him, right? They talk about needing more mithril, and the only place they're going to get it is from Khazad-dûm, And as we know from the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the 7 rings for the dwarves corrupted by Sauron, to attempt to get them under his control.
Yeah.
So
now,
it's definitely that setup. But I think, at least for the dwarves, it moves their plot along, and it gives them a valid reason for seeking something such as rings of power to solve their problem. As we've seen, it's solved the problem for the elves. I do like that it does give us like a proper setup and reason why the dwarves would be interested in rings of power.
yeah.
I do like that.
Yeah, very much so.
And I like that it's tied to Mount Doom as well. I like that Mount Doom is like the cause of this. Sauron's grand plan coming together,
Yeah. Erupt a volcano, create a detrimental problem, offer solution to problem, but really coerce them into being under your control.
Profit.
And further, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's all I had for Khazad-dûm, and now I have on to Galadriel.
Yeah, the last thing I would say for Khazad-dûm, and it's obvious to us, the viewers, right? Because we kind of have the full picture of what's going on. But the dwarves don't really pick up on it yet. Like, they're like, oh, the volcano went off way over there and we got some aftershock, right? And it goes back to that opening scene of the episode of, that map of the, like, black tendrils coming out from Mount Doom and corrupting the land. And it's just like, for us, the viewers, I would say it's kind of obvious that there's something sinister at work here regarding Khazad-dûm specifically. But I always find it interesting in different shows and movies and stuff when they only have a piece of the puzzle and the assumptions that are made and the attempts to resolve that without having the full picture. I always like seeing different ways that in movies and shows I like to see, but I also am interested in seeing, like, in the real world, how we try and solve problems when we don't have the full equation. And just a different thought process that people go through to try and get an answer.
Yeah.
And so I just thought it was really interesting to see the dwarves, like, resorting back to what they know, tempting that, seeing it fail, and then kind of just truthfully turning to wild guess, because King Doran just goes, Digmaster, be careful. Good luck, buddy. But, yeah. That's just my last kind of point for Khazad-dûm.
Yeah. Galadriel is having visions of the... Okay. Is that because of her paranoia? Because she has once trusted Sauron before? Or do you think it is the ring itself that's causing her to have these kind of borderline premonitions?
Right. I think it's a mix of the two. I don't think it's one or the other. Because when she talks to Gil-galad, he makes some comments of, like, seeing some visions as well.
Yeah.
But it's not quite, like, Sauron specific. But I think because Sauron's gotten in her head, and she has one of the elven rings, I think those two kind of, like, clash and are giving her these visions or premonitions. Cough, cough, foreshadowing. Going on here. I think it's a mix of the two.
Yeah. I also, the way that Gil-galad often talks, I made the note, I feel like his pride is going to bring him down. Like, we obviously know how he actually goes, but
Right.
I do feel like it's going to have some major consequences because he seems way too, like, I don't know, prideful.
Yeah, in this episode, he definitely comes across like prideful and arrogant, right? Like he's like, the elves are strong. Eregion has its strong walls. It has its guard. We will stand. But then in a different spot in the episode, he's talking to Galadriel about once the deceiver gets into your mind, he can twist reality. He can, not just thoughts in your head, but what you see and what you hear. But then we have strong walls. Okay, buddy. Whatever you say.
So I wrote down that quote when he's talking about, he says, it is said that once the deceiver gains someone's trust, he can sculpt their thought and alter their perception. And that's why Galadriel can't meet, because it's kind of like this preceding vulnerability. I'm like, uh-oh, Celebrimbor. And obviously we end up kind of seeing where this is probably not going to be he alters, he does, he shows up and he's like, spinning this lie, and then he's like basically leveraging that prior trust.
Yeah.
But part of his whole approach too is just like, I am heaven sent to help you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and I mean, we can go into Celebrimbor and Sauron, because truthfully for me, there wasn't a whole lot with Galadriel, Elrond, and Gil-galad to go into.
Well, the only thing that I would like to interject and talk on before we move on to that was the single-handedly the most angering part of this episode, in that Círdan's shaved. He looked so freaking elegant with a beard.
He did, yeah. He did.
And now he just looks like... Well, he still looks pretty elegant, I'm not going to lie. But, like, it's not the same. And also, was he doing it with a seashell?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I think you commented on that last episode.
Yeah. He uses like a sharpened seashell as a razor.
Yeah. But anyway, I was upset that he shaved. That annoyed me.
My only other point for Galadriel, Elrond, Gil-galad is I thought it was hilarious when Gil-galad has Galadriel come back to the war room, and he's like, "You're going to Eregion," and she's like, "Oh yes, I'm glad you changed your mind." He's like, "Oh, don't thank me," and Elrond steps out, right? And she's like, "Thank you, Elrond, for joining my company." And Gil-galad's like, not your company. This guy.
He's leading it.
Galadriel's pissed off face in that scene, I was just like, dude, you had this coming.
Yeah.
You directly defy the king in the last season, go against his orders to return, get in bed, quote unquote, with Sauron unknowingly, let him fool you over and over and over again, come back, hide the fact that he is Sauron, and you expect everything to be good as new? I mean, you expect trust to be there? You brought this on yourself, dude.
Yeah, 100%. And that was actually, so technically my actual last note was Elrond is leading the party, and then all caps, tension.
Yeah, I thought that was so good. It's like you're finally reaping what you've sown.
Yep.
Now, and she just seems so mad about it, like she didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
Which just kind of baffles me.
Yeah. So you wanted to move on to Sauron / Celebrimbor. Do you want to touch on Tatooine first?
We can touch on Rune Tatooine. It is very Tatooine-like in its...
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
In its terrain, for sure.
Because my first note there was, dang it, she's still alive. I really dislike that character, at least in the first season. Now, this one, it's something about how they do that. They just kept using this, I don't know what they were trying to, I think they were like, hey, mimic somebody who has an underbite, who is like severely focused on grilled cheese. And like she was just like, and I hated her face. In this, she looks a little more fine. Like, I don't know, but I still don't love the character, but I was annoyed that she's still around because I thought not Gandalf just destroyed them.
I will say I do like that we know, quote unquote, know who her master is now. Right?
Yeah, it's nice to see a little more behind the scenes because before it was like, who the heck is this? Why are these seekers or whoever they are doing what they're doing? And then now it's like, oh, okay, now what? Who's he and what's he doing?
Right.
But also like, okay, I see now.
Well, and I really liked too, and I know this really won't mean anything to you because you didn't watch Game of Thrones, right? But for those that have watched Game of Thrones, the actor that plays that wizard guy, right? He's the same actor that plays a character named Mance Rayder in Game of Thrones, and he was one of my favorite characters in Game of Thrones. Like I thought that character was really well done. I really liked the dialogue and the scenes in the Game of Thrones series with him in it, and I was really glad that the same actor shows up in this show because I enjoyed him in Game of Thrones, and I enjoyed his scenes in season 2 of Rings of Power as well. They were pretty well done. Lines were throughout the season. I think his lines are very well delivered, and there's like a lot of weight, a lot of meaning behind his lines throughout the whole season.
You're really sucking up to this guy.
I really enjoyed him in Game of Thrones, okay, and he did not disappoint me. In Rings of Power.
Seem like you enjoy him in your dreams too. Get off of him, dude.
Well, hey, you said you were gonna keep that in confidence. Anyways.
Sorry, just jotting down a note. I'll cut it out for you, man. I'm gonna cut it out.
Oh man.
Did you hear that?
What?
No, never mind. Okay, we're good.
No, I like how we got to see more of the stranger's magic, right? But he's got that staff for one scene, and I feel like there's a lot more intent behind him using magic this time. Whereas I think every time we've seen it in the past, it's been very reactionary. He doesn't really know what he's doing. It's just pure instinct. But in this scene, it really felt like he's got a little bit more of a grip on his powers. Not full control by any means, but there is intent behind this to protect Nori and Poppy.
Right.
Whereas in season 1, it was all, like I said, kind of like instinct, reactionary, not aware of his surroundings whatsoever.
Yeah. I thought, too, just because this scene is around that well, that was a pretty clever trap.
Yeah.
Like you position this well in the middle of the desert. Inevitably, somebody wandering is going to be like, I need water. And then you rig it to when they get the water, it signals a bell just by repeatedly whipping. Like that was, I thought that was pretty neat.
It's a very simple trap to set up, but just really effective.
Yeah.
There's nothing complex about it, but it really lets you know when someone's there.
Right.
Yeah. I found it interesting with these same figures that kind of set up this trap. When they interact with this other wizard, right? And the one comes in and he says something along the lines of like cure our curse, like heal us. Like we've got some sort of disease, heal us, and then we'll get the wizard for you. We'll get the stranger for you. And I couldn't help but think, like, who are these people? Like what group are they from? Right? Are they like ancestors to the soldiers from Rune we see in Return of the King? Are they a completely different group? Is this like a clan-based thing? Like, I want to know more about
have
these
they
people.
shot at pod racers?
Yeah, I mean, that too. gotta go through a lot of ammo. But no, I would really like to see more of these figures. Not necessarily these specific characters, right? But like more of these figures and like learn more about them, who they are, what they're about, what kind of culture do they have? Is it like a clan-based thing? Is it like proper cities? You know, is it more nomadic? Like I'm really intrigued by these figures that show up that this wizard has employed.
Yeah.
And also, like, what disease do they have where they're like demanding him cure them? Like they got like leprosy going on or something.
Yeah.
Like they're covered head to toe.
Yeah, maybe they have skin AIDS.
Did you ever watch the movie? Oh my gosh, I just had the title.
It's a weird title.
Yeah. It's got, I want to say it's Orlando Bloom in it, but it's about the Crusades and like the defense of Jerusalem.
Nope.
I can't think of the name of the movie now. But it's got there's like a king in there, and it's loosely based off of historical events, right? Loosely. But the king has leprosy in that movie. And he's covered head to toe in like white garb, and he has like a mask on to cover his face. And you can only see his eyes and just a little bit around the eyes themselves, where you can see a little bit of the disease going on. And I kind of got a similar vibe from these guys as I got from watching that movie. I'll have to find the title. I'll have to try and figure out what it was called.
Okay.
Because it's a pretty good movie too. I mean, if you're into like the Crusades and the medieval combat and stuff, it's pretty decent.
All right.
Yeah, they just kind of gave me leprosy vibes.
Yeah.
I bet if you took that mask off, there ain't no skin underneath.
Hey, did you see how the leper did you see how the leper hockey game ended?
No.
Yeah, there's a face-off in the corner.
Oh my god. I just had one last thing for the Stranger, Nori, Poppy, that whole area. When I got my notes and I read through this stuff, ChatGPT put this in here, and I don't think it's right on this, and I feel like commenting on it.
Now, when you say you got your notes and you put it together, do you mean you did no work and asked ChatGPT?
Yes, absolutely. 100%. I read through and make sure that it's, for the most part, correct. You know, like I proofread it. I don't change everything, but I proofread it. But no, ChatGPT put in here that the show is still playing with doubt, i.e., is the stranger Gandalf? Is he one of the blue wizards that's talked about in some of the books? Or is he something else entirely? And I feel like that's just incorrect. I feel like they basically pointed it out at the end of the last season. Like, this mother trucker is Gandalf. We're going to get a proper name or something, maybe in this season, maybe in the next season, of how he gets the name Gandalf. I feel like they hit it right on the nose, and there's really not any question anymore.
Well, and so I didn't ever think about that. It would be really a stupid misdirection, because they are obviously aiming towards that. It's like personality-wise, stuff that they're hinting at. You got the fondness of hobbits or Harfoots in this. It's like it's pretty evident that it's him. And now in this episode, Nori's trying to come up with a name for him. Like, come on, it's getting closer, but also timeline-wise and the whole lore issue, possibly if it's not him and it's another one, couldn't that solve it?
When you get into the lore, no, because Gandalf was the first to, no, I think, hold on, let me get this right. All 5 of the wizards, that being Gandalf, Saruman, Radagast, and then the 2 blue wizards, they all arrive in lore in the Third Age, after all of this stuff has already happened. You know, And so it's like if you're trying to stick truly to the lore, this dude shouldn't even be here yet. Period.
Okay.
And neither should this other guy.
No matter who he is, he shouldn't be here.
Yeah. And neither should this other guy that's, old, short hair, white hair, blue eye, whatever you want to call her, comes back to. Like, if he's one of the 5 wizards as well, he shouldn't be here either. If he is. Truthfully, I don't even know if he is.
Yeah. Sorry, your cat is like waddling in, and it's really fun to see.
Go. Get out of here.
Oh, okay. I guess shoo her away.
But no, yeah. I don't know why there... Because I can see how the show might be trying to do this misdirect of like Nori trying to give him a name to try and get us off the idea that this is Gandalf, but I feel like if that was their intent, they did a bad job.
Well, also, I was just thinking like that could solve the whole lore thing, but obviously it wouldn't. Right. So, anyway, man.
Yeah. Well, if I'm not mistaken as well, within the lore, when the 5 wizards arrive, they're not in this state of where the stranger doesn't know how to use his powers. And he's like all befuddled and has to learn how to talk, how to communicate. Like the 5 wizards arrive, their faculties intact, knowing what they can do, and they come in to help the free people,
Yeah, because they're on mission. They're like, we know what's up. We're ready to act. Makes sense.
And I do think it's interesting, the approach that the show takes to not Gandalf, showing up and kind of needing this help to figure out who he is, what his purpose is, all that kind of stuff. I find it interesting, but at the same time, kind of honestly, kind of pointless.
Yeah. Onward to Sauron / Celebrimbor.
Yeah.
The first thing I pointed out was that he really does utilize that trust from before, kind of like Gil-galad pointed out he might be able to do, and then starts like with a little bit of the seeds of doubt, and then eventually, obviously, revealing himself to be some sort of angel of light.
Well, and the thing too is, if you really pay close attention to what he's saying, what Sauron is saying in these scenes, he never lies. That's the crazy part about it.
That is
it's
true,
all half-truths and misdirection.
Yeah.
Because Sauron was one of the Valar who fell and sided with Morgoth, and when he brings up the 3 elven rings to Celebrimbor, he never says the 3 rings worked. This is what happened in Lindon. This is how everything went. Celebrimbor says, and the 3 rings, did they work? And he says, yes. And Lindon, yes. And this, yes. He just lets Celebrimbor lead himself into deceiving himself.
Yeah.
And then he just plays on that. And then when you get into the different lore books and stuff that talk about Sauron, they talk about how the Anatar persona that he puts on here, that is Sauron's most dangerous form. Not the big armored warrior that you see at the very beginning of Fellowship of the Ring. Not the Halbrand form, or any other form that he takes. It's Anatar. Because he comes across as benevolent and, kind and giving and all these things. And then he gives you half-truths and misdirections and allows you to deceive yourself into his plan.
Mm-hmm.
In this form, he's not a tyrant. He's not a warlord. He's not a fake king. He's none of these things. He comes across as a teacher, which is very dangerous when you have ill intent.
Yeah. My next note was, oh boy, more rings. Because they're talking about,
Yeah.
making some for men. And then now later on, we get the dwarves. Um, but we do see him also present himself as an angel of light, which we've talked about plenty already.
Well, and he even uses like some of his his powers to. I thought it was a really cool scene. And it just really adds to the deception, where he has like the floating clouds, like the heaven scene behind him, to
Yeah,
really like play off the whole "I am the good guy,"
right.
thing that he
But it's
does here.
formed from ash, by the way.
Yeah,
Like those
yeah,
clouds end up like they were initially smoke coming out of the furnace thing, whatever you call
yeah.
it. And so that's kind of an interesting transformation there. I wrote Sauron is a little drama queen, just because
Oh yeah,
he's like making this extravagant things in the entrance, and he also had a little Lord of the Rings name drop in there because he was talking about how Celebrimbor will be known as the Lord of the Rings.
yeah. My mind can't help
But
but go to Darth Vader in Star Wars,
yeah,
specifically that scene from Rogue One where he's standing there after the ship detaches and goes off to lead into Episode 4,
yeah.
and he's out in space and his cape is billowing.
Oh yeah.
It's like this
Yeah,
dude
yeah,
is
yeah.
all about the drama, all about the shot, all about the cool, intimidating scene. Or like when he shows up in the hallway and his like whole computer chess thing, all the lights are off. It's like this dude can't breathe, but he's going for that drama. He's gonna scare the pants off you. It doesn't matter if he can breathe or not. It's all about the vibes.
Yeah.
And Sauron in this is very much the same way. It's like, let's put on a show.
Uh-huh.
Let's put on a show. Let's manipulate. In this case, it's let's get him on my side. Whereas Darth Vader's like, let's put fear straight into your soul, But the concept is still there.
Yeah.
But well, the thing here too, and it just goes right back into like the whole Sauron deception thing is like Celebrimbor is quite expertly fooled here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because he's stupid. Like Celebrimbor's a pretty smart guy, but Sauron plays on his Celebrimbor's want of creating something like Feanor did, where they mention like the Silmarils,
Right.
right? That's what they're talking about. Celebrimbor wants something just like that. He wants to be famous, essentially. He's seeking fame and glory and, acknowledgement, all that kind of stuff. He fears failing. We see this in the last season right there at the end when they're trying to make the 3 elven rings. He gets infuriated when it's not working because he doesn't want to fail. And then he fears fate, like fading into the backdrop and not having his name be remembered. And Sauron just plays on those.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you can play on those things with anybody, you can get them to do just about anything you want. If you can figure out what their fears are, what their, weaknesses are, and you play on those in the right way. And Sauron does it expertly here.
Yeah.
But I think I mentioned it last episode, but all of the scenes in this season with Sauron / Anatar and Celebrimbor, I just found brilliantly done, truthfully. Because when you look at I feel like this is one spot, though the order of the rings being made and excluding the minor rings and Sauron knowing about the elven rings at this point, like, that part's not accurate lore-wise. But I feel like the deception of Celebrimbor that Sauron pulls here does the lore justice. Because he just does it so expertly and so perfectly. And I really enjoy all of the scenes with those two throughout this season.
Yeah. I've enjoyed them so far.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to more of them.
Well, I like to... It was just a small thing with Sauron when he's still in Halbrand form before he meets Celebrimbor. when that like assistant comes down and like is telling him, "Hey, Celebrimbor's not going to see you. You need to go." And he does this sly little like, "I'll just tie my horse here in case he changes his mind." And he turns just enough to where you can see like a whip lashing on his back.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's like, this sly dog, he knows the elves like to help people. You know, he knows they're very caring and nurturing by nature. And if they see him wounded, they're going to want to help. And it's like, you sly dog, you. It's the small stuff like that, those small details that I really enjoy when they get put into shows or movies. And it just adds to the character, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what was your high point?
I think my high point for the episode was Galadriel's reaction to not being the leader of the company.
That's good. Yeah.
Like I said when we talked about that a little bit, it was just like she did all those things in the last season and expected no repercussions, and just to see it all thrown back in her face for her to finally get what was coming to her. I don't think in full, personally. I feel like there should be more consequences, truthfully, to her actions. But to see her get a little bit of justice, I thought was great.
Yeah. I think my high point was the visions that she was having, where you had Celebrimbor like lifted up by, I think it was like the tree roots, and then like skewered by him. It was so like dark, and like the visuals of it were so sinister that it's like, ooh, this is well depicted. This is cool.
Well, I like that scene as well because it doesn't start out where you think it's a vision, right? Like it starts out with her in front of that tree that has the carving of her brother. It's like, oh, she's visiting his like last resting place, or like trying to, visit his grave. Essentially, is what's going on here, right? Yeah. And then it goes into that, and it's like, oh, geez, oh, it's a vision. Oh God, it was just a vision. It was a dream. Yeah. It was a daydream. So I did like the way they did that too, where it's just like, because you could easily do something like that where you make it bluntly obvious that this is a vision through and through, but they took the subtle route, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
What about your low for the episode?
Sorry, I was yawning. This is late. I'm tired. Probably seeing the short-haired albino again.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know of any other low point, because the rest of it, I mean, it was a good episode.
Yeah.
And realistically, I don't even feel like that detracted from the episode. I just got to pick something, and I don't like the character, so there.
Right. Yeah, but even that scene felt fitting. It's not like it was just pulled out of nowhere and just thrown in there. It felt appropriate to be in the episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that was my low as well, but even that isn't even that much of a low,
Right.
It's just because that one character is in it. I feel like she's the Jar Jar of this show.
Not even close. And that's saying
not
something.
As bad, no, but like if one character in the show had to be the Jar Jar, I feel like it's her.
I don't know. Poppy's there for me.
See, for me, it would be Nori.
I like Nori more than I do Poppy, honestly.
Man, Nori.
Poppy is like the young bird lady from Home Alone.
She's like, what?
This isn't a negative thing because I like the character in Home Alone, but she's like the pigeon lady. Just reminds me of her. I don't know why.
See, I feel like Poppy gives us the Hobbit vibe, whereas Nori does not. Like Poppy, I feel like Poppy is very much the Samwise in this show, where Nori is the Frodo. And though I like Frodo, don't get me wrong, a great character, there's so many scenes in Lord of the Rings where he annoys me.
Okay.
And I feel like Nori kind of falls into that Frodo role in this. But
Yeah.
I will say I do look forward to getting more on Númenor because I don't think we've actually seen them yet in the show.
Not in season 2, I don't believe.
As well as the Southlanders and Arondir. We have not seen them
haven't
yet
seen
in
much of
season
them.
2. I will
Actually,
say
none of
they do show up again. You know, like their stories were by no means concluded.
I would hope not.
Yeah. That would be
Númenor, literally,
horrible.
the last we saw them, they were like, we'll be back.
Yeah.
So.
But I look forward to continuing their stories. I think they come back next episode.
Okay.
They should.
Well, we'll see. I'm in for the ride regardless.
Yeah.
So, anywho, I think that probably concludes our discussion. I will just quickly say, because as soon as we say, well, that's the end, I'm sure people click off if you've even made it this far. Go ahead and share with friends. We're looking to release a blooper reel. We do that every 1,000 downloads, and we're coming up on the 5th one, which is cool. But that's solely dependent on how many people give it a listen. So that's how you can contribute to getting that done quicker, is share it around. Last episode, I said the review stuff. I don't need to probably iterate every element of our kind of goals each episode, but I wanted to touch on that one. And definitely comment if you're able, whether you're on YouTube or Spotify, and review us anywhere you can.
Leave your reviews.
Yep.
If you thought we were okay, maybe consider subscribing, but I understand if you don't.
Yeah.
But we will catch you guys in the next one. If you're here for all of it, that'll be our next Star Wars arc in the Clone Wars. If you're here just for Lord of the Rings, that'll be in 2 weeks for episode 3 of season 2.
Yeah.
Toodles.
Deuces.